Well, looks like I may have broken my electric water pump once again. Welcome everyone to the Dirtzilla channel. Today, I'm taking another look at my 2000 Ford Explorer XLT. This is the one with the 5.0 V8. I've done a number of videos on, most recently, some noise and sound coming from my engine bay. May have seen a few shorts, and also a recent video I did where I actually replaced the idler bushing in my electric water pump. And you can kind of see here, down right there, partially disassembled, because after I replaced that idler bushing, the sound went away for a couple days. And then I was presented with a new sound that was a little bit different than the sound that I had just repaired. So I went ahead and removed my Meziere electric pump. I think this is the WP374 model that's made for the 5.0 9495 Ford Mustangs, which also works on the 5.0 Ford Explorers. And I went ahead and removed the idler assembly from my electric water pump. They have a couple different versions. They have the one with the idler assembly right here, so you can maintain your typical serpentine belt routing. And they have one without this idler assembly. I retained the idler assembly. And to remove it, if you have not seen my video, you can check that out. It should be a link up here where I actually replaced this bushing. But to do so, you're going to use a Allen key. I can't remember what size it is, but you have these two little set screws. You have to back these out. You don't need to fully remove them, and that will actually loosen it up, where you can get a larger Allen key to remove this little cap here. Once you remove the cap, you can actually remove the idler assembly. I have the whole process with the instructions in that video linked above, but I went ahead and removed the idler assembly from my electric water pump, and I took a closer look and noticed that the locking plate, which is what holds this bushing into the idler assembly, is fractured. A big chunk of it is missing, which then allowed this bushing to wobble in place, and while it wobbled, it actually wore down and made impact with the water pump body itself. And I believe that's probably what the sound was, it actually making contact. And yeah, so my options were, I actually emailed Meziere. They got back to me super quick, sent them some photos. I actually attached those photos. Maybe they'll be on the screen here momentarily, or while I'm talking, to show you a little closer look with this all, disassembled further. But yeah, they took a look, and I had a couple options. I could replace the entire assembly, is one option, a little bit more expensive, a little over $100. Or I can just get a replacement locking ring and screws, because those are semi-stripped out from removing it. And they actually think that maybe because of how this wore out and how this retainer ring wore down, that my best option would be to go with an entire new assembly for your idler. And that's what I'm doing. But for only about $30, they would give me a whole new plate and screws. But the issue is, even if I put a new retaining ring in there, if it actually wore down on the idler assembly itself, where it actually, the bushing sits right here, it would actually then potentially reoccur. So they recommended that not just replacing the retainer ring, but to go with an entire new assembly. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Super quick video. I just want to show you some things I've ran into. I know I have not really been putting out a ton of content with the Explorer lately, because, to be honest, I had replaced the bushing. I replaced a bunch of other things, including the crank seal, harmonic balancer assembly, and rebuilt the transmission, solenoid, valve body, the whole deal. And then I got this new sound, which I've attached to the video. You can hear that. But super discouraged. I ended up parking the car for about a year. And I finally got, I got my another daughter is getting ready to start driving here, so I needed to get another car up and running. So I went and took a look, and I immediately found this issue with this shattered retainer ring right here. And I just received this in yesterday. So we're gonna go ahead and install this and see if my issue and the weird sounds from my engine bay are resolved. I'm glad I actually did park it. I wish I would have gotten back to it sooner, because I'm sure if I kept driving this, and this whole idler assembly might have completely come detached if this retainer ring shattered even more and completely just disintegrated. it did this much damage in only, you know, a few miles of driving probably, and, you know, maybe running the car for about 30 minutes to an hour. So, I mean, it was significant. So, obviously there's some difference in my new assembly. My water pump is, I believe, over 10 years old, but for whatever reason, now it's black instead of gray. They didn't give me a new cap, unfortunate. This one's kind of worn out a little bit, but it should be fine. And really, to install this, you just slide this over the pump body, and then you lock in this cap. You want to tighten it up with the Allen key, the big Allen key. Once it's locked into place, then you want to tighten up the set screws, which then will prevent it from backing out. I'm going to probably put a little Loctite on here to make sure it doesn't you know, come loose. And I'm also going to make sure I clean up the threads and the valve body where this ran off and left like a little bit of metal shavings everywhere. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and clean it up. We're going to get this thing installed. I have my fans all laid out. I'm going to reinstall everything. We'll see if the sound goes away. So if you do encounter the sound that I've attached, you know, earlier in this video, that can maybe give you an idea of maybe you're experiencing the same issue that I have. I think this may have, retainer ring may have failed because the bushing initially failed. Probably caused some play in the bushing and this, you know, spinning around the valve body, and maybe that fatigued the retainer ring, which then finally, when it failed, it started making impact with the pump body, and that led to my very weird sounds. I was worried it was actually a motor issue or an internal issue. Used the stethoscope, and I was hearing it coming from my water pump, which was what confused me because I had just replaced the bushing. But yeah. So it wasn't the bushing this time, it was the retainer ring holding the bushing to the idler assembly itself. Here we can see where I reinstalled the idler assembly, and looks like it's a 3/8 Allen key for the main bolt with a cap itself, which is a bolt. It's a cap bolt, whatever they call those. And then once that's tightened down, then it's these much smaller, which I carried it off somewhere, Allen key, just to get these set screws in place. I helped prevent, I guess, the main plate from backing out. I did add a little of the blue Loctite to the main bolt, so it should be nice and secure. And I can drop my light on the ground, but hey, it's Icon light. Check out that review, super durable. And I probably dropped it about 20 times. Still works, but anyways, the idler assembly freely spins. I don't hear it grinding on anything. Before, when I took the one with the broken lock plate or retainer ring, whatever you want to call it, I could actually get a little bit of play from the actual idler assembly by grabbing it and kind of moving around. This thing does not move at all. And as you can see, all the other pulleys in here have been replaced, pretty much everything but the alternator and my power steering pulley. So everything else is completely new in this entire rotating assembly, harmonic balancer, tensioner, yeah, everything. So hopefully my belt assemblies are nice and quiet and my car sounds better. Now I will be bypassing my AC compressor. I still having issues with my AC system, and I end up blowing the line, and now my compressor makes a little bit of noise. I need to replace it again, and so it makes a little bit of extra noise itself. I don't want it to detonate on myself driving, so I'm actually going to be bypassing with a shorter belt, slightly modifying how the routing of the cable, the belt will be. And I do have this weird dual contour electric fan setup that I molded 12 years ago maybe into the actual fan shroud. That's why this looks pretty ugly. It's pretty dirty. It's got a lot of miles on it, but it mostly does what it needs to do. Fans run great still to this day, but I have this built so I can actually remove and, you know, as an entire assembly off the radiator, slide it back into place. Now the only negative is it does require me to disconnect the AC system. That's another reason I haven't really worked on the AC. I didn't want to mess with it until I had my fan assembly and my noise with my pumps and stuff. Everything sounded good before I went and locked the system down and then, you know, got my AC working. And yeah, so long story short, I'm gonna go ahead and retrieve my light that I dropped somewhere down there, and we're going to then get this belt routed and my fans slip back into place behind the radiator, and we'll see, is my noise resolved or do I have a new issue? It's 2004 Explorer, may have a new issue, who knows? It's always something. Everything is reinstalled other than my intake and the related map and sensor, but as you can see, much quieter. I did actually go with the full belt Actually, it's a slightly longer belt, I believe, from the OEM belt. I have a link to that if you happen to be running a Meziere water pump, but I'm pretty sure I'm probably the only one running it in a Ford Explorer, but you know. But I did put the AC compressor into the thing. It doesn't seem like it's making a lot of noise right now, but I'm pretty sure it's janked up. But I wanted a full belt because I will be troubleshooting the air conditioning later, and I need that all hooked up so I can troubleshoot it a little bit more effectively. Hopefully you can hear me, but the motor is 1,000 times quieter. I haven't driven around the block yet. This thing is super dusty because, like I said, I had parked this thing for about a year in frustration. Turned out it was like a 30-minute repair, $100 or whatever. But yeah, so if you run into a similar sound, actually it'll display side by side. This is how it should sound without the intake. But I'll actually record this sound here shortly. I'll come back. I'll play the sound of what it sounds like with the bushing going bad. I'll play the sound of when the retainer plate goes bad or breaks and you actually have some contact. And then I'll play, of course, this sound. You can see a side-by-side 1, 2, 3. And if you have to troubleshoot one or both of those issues, you'll know what to listen for and what your problem may be. Intake is back in place. Everything is running smoothly. There's a little bit of sound. It's that metallic sound you can kind of rattle. That's coming from the AC compressor. That thing is jacked up, so you can ignore that sound. But the sound that I was getting coming from the water pump location down here is gone. So that issue is resolved. Now I'm going to let you just listen to this for a minute, then I'll play the other two. The first one coming up will be the bushing gone bad, and then the next one will be the retainer ring issue, which I just resolved. Here we go. Here is with the bushing going bad. And here is with the retainer ring having broken and the actual idler assembly making contact with the pump body. I'm happy that I have resolved one more issue with the Ford Explorer. And next up will be the air conditioning. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that myself. I've been wrestling with the air conditioning in that car for a few years on and off. I actually replaced every single component on the Explorer in the AC line, everything from the accumulator, compressor, condenser, all the hoses, the orifices tube, every single thing. And I got it pumped up, was working great for about 15 seconds, and then the line just blew. So it's happened to me twice. I don't know what the heck's going on, if some weird clog. So I might take it to an AC shop who can maybe do a better job than I did. So stay tuned for more work on the Explorer. And next up, I'm gonna be probably not doing a video, maybe, I don't know. We'll be working on my Camaro ZL1. I actually went to do an oil change. I was gonna replace some carbon fiber. And I went to empty my catch can, which is Elite Engineering catch can right here. And I noticed there's a lot of oil on the underside of the catch can, which I've cleaned up now. But the drain valve was leaking, and I'm not sure if it was leaking where it was connected to the catch can or if it came loose a little bit. But unfortunately, it leaked oil down into the engine bay. So I have to clean all that up, reinstall everything. So unfortunately, I'm gonna miss my car show or car event I was probably gonna go to with that. But you know, it is what it is. And I guess that could be the worst of my issues, very minor oil leak. So, and it's only blow-by oil that I've collected in my catch can. It wasn't actually oil leak of, you know, motor oil from the engine itself. So not a big deal. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like the content or want to see more stuff from me, feel free to subscribe, like the video, comment, share. Check me out on Explorer forums. I've been on there for 10 plus years getting some valuable information from all the very smart people over there who know Ford Explorer way more than I do. I have a thread on there, I don't know, it's 15 years long now, of me banging my head on this car for forever. But I'm hoping to get it running so I can drive it when I don't want to take the Camaro out to places, you know, where the parking may not be so good. I don't really trust people parking. And also, my oldest drove it for a while, and my youngest is going to get ready to drive it. So it's been through a lot of hands. I've had it for a long time, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. Peace.